Hey guys, it's Max Convexity here, sitting here next to my little dog Jax. Let's do episode 4 of Late Night with Jax and Max. I recorded one last night, but it was just me griping about my spreadsheets being so far off. So I published it, but I made it private. So probably never going to show it to anybody. It'd probably be a good blooper reel because I was exasperated. It was 2 o'clock in the evening, Christmas morning. I couldn't get my math to work out. Um, and also I'm in an Airbnb, and there's some kids upstairs that are renting the Airbnb upstairs, and they got home when the bars closed, and they were making so much noise. You know, Christmas Eve's a great night to go out if you're 18 or 19. Anyway, I used to do that all the time, especially when you're back in your hometown, because you get to see all your friends that you haven't seen in a long time. But anyway, I was trying to get this darn video done, and they were upstairs. It sounded like they were jumping up and down. My dog didn't know what was going on, and so he was shaking, and so I was trying to comfort him, and then at the same time I was trying to comfort myself, and I got on Discord, and there was a couple of other people on Discord, and I really appreciated it because I vented my problems to them, and they helped me work through it. And something I wanted to mention, I always mention, hey, I'm on my Discord. I'm on my Discord. Or, I saw this on, I don't mean literally my Discord. I'm on 3 or 4 Discords. I don't have one of my own because I keep getting that question. I'm such a boomer. I say I saw it on my Discord. But anyway, I need to quit saying that. I was on Retire on Dividends Discord last night. It's a great one. But I'm also on a really good one called Rob Stuff, and I'm also on Khmer Nation, I think is what he calls that one, and that's a great one. And then I'm on another one. I forget the name of it. I'm on another couple. Then I'm on. Anyway, I need to make a list of all the Discords I'm on. But the ones I really go to much or the most are Rob Stuff and uh, and Retire on Dividends. But they're all good. All right, so let's talk about something. Okay, so Christmas morning, uh, I woke up and the first thing I saw was a video from Panda, and it was like a Christmas gift. I've been waiting for this announcement. You guys don't know how excited I am about this announcement. So Yield Max is going to come out with some funds that are going to be yield funds, where they sell options to gain to pay a dividend. And everyone knows I'm obsessed with that idea. But they're going to be inverse yield funds. So, and the reason I know about this is because Jay teased it. Jay Pestruccelli, the CEO of Zega Financial, he's the sub advisor for all these funds. He mentioned it, and I could not believe it. I was so excited because the one big drawback about these funds are, a big swing down or something. If you have a stock and it has a bad earnings report and it drops 15% in a day or something, your NAV's going to take a huge hit. But so I love the idea, especially with the stock on an index. I don't know, but especially I would love to have an inverse Tesla fund at the same time as the regular Tesla fund. That would make me a lot more comfortable about holding a single stock. The thing is, the inverse funds, they're going to sell covered puts instead of covered calls. So that's the other thing I like about it. In theory, I'm going to do some back test on this and make a video and try to prove it. But in theory, if you have one long fund and you have a short fund, the up and down ought to, in theory, cancel itself out. So if you had both of them, and Tesla had a bad earnings report, you should get some protection from having the short fund as well. But the other thing I like, that's the first thing though. The first thing is the NAV ought to be steadier, and it ought to have less directional component to it. They ought to cancel each other out to some degree. The thing I'm really excited about though is, in Tesla, for instance, they're monetizing the call options from Tesla. And those call options in Tesla are really jacked and pay a huge IV. So, but what they're also going to do, if you had the inverse fund, you could also monetize the put options. And yes, put options don't pay as much, but say you're making 20 off the call side, or I'm sorry, 60%, like Tesla's been paying off the call side. You could, and Panda did this video. Everyone needs to go watch it, and he explains it a lot better than I do, and he went into depth, in deep on this. But he did some projections, and even conservatively, you might be able to make another 20% or something from the put side. So that could bring your effective yield up from 60 to 80. So you're double dipping, and I believe you're going to have less exposure to the stock going up and down, less exposure to the delta of the stock or to the directional component of the stock. So I am really excited about these funds. Now I think they're still 90 days out. Keep an eye on Panda's channel. He'll keep, when they come closer, he'll tell us all about them. But I think I'm gonna make a video with some back test and try to go kind of deep on it and see, and see what I can figure out. But I love the theory of them. I love the idea of them. And so I am very pumped. That was Merry Christmas to Max, for sure. All right. I thought we would just talk about some profit boxes tonight and maybe one or two more things. And then I'm going to go to bed and get some rest, and I'm going to let you guys go. So this isn't going to be a long Max and Jax. Let's try to shoot for about 10 or 15 minutes. I have something in the oven, and when the buzzer goes off, I need to have the show ended. So, but the first thing I wanted to cover was thank you, Panda, for the Merry Christmas gift to Max. That I really am excited about these Yield Max inverse ETFs. That Panda is so good at what he does. I really enjoy his channel. And he's funny. He's the funniest guy on the net, too. He's incredibly funny. I like what he says at the end here. He says these funds will make you healthier, wealthier, better looking, well endowed, and making all around good people. But, healthier and wealthier is always a good thing. Better looking and well endowed. The funny thing about well endowed is it has a double meaning. It's a double entendre is what they would call that in French. But because, they talk about a university having an endowment. An endowment also means how much money, how much assets under management an institution has. And of course it means other stuff. I like that. I really like this channel. All right, so let's talk. What else do we talk about? We're going to do some profit boxes and see what we're looking at for tomorrow. I'm just seeing if I have any tabs open. Any other things I want to discuss. I did want to discuss this one thing because I got a question. I have a really nice guy in Discord that I go back and forth with and talk to. And I was talking to him last night. He asked me some questions, and I want to read my answer because it's something I'd kind of like to discuss. And then after that, we'll go to the profit boxes. But it's not just him that has these concerns. I think a lot of people do, and so I want to read my answer. And then I'd like you guys to leave a comment and tell me if you agree with me or agree with him. And we aren't arguing over it or anything. We're just discussing it. And maybe we're both right or maybe we're both wrong. I don't know. But he said, so the first thing he said, plus I couldn't sleep because the kids upstairs were keeping me awake. So it was a blessing that somebody else was up. His name's Jack, but it's a blessing that somebody else was up to text me. I'm really enjoying this Discord. Okay, so he said, Merry Christmas, Max. If you do a video, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the worst case scenario for the Defiance funds. Is it possible these funds to be completely wiped out in one day? None of the interviews that I've seen with Sylvia has really addressed it. These funds are actively managed, so I'm hoping they can maneuver quickly enough. But is that even possible? Thanks. So, like I say, this is something I've thought for a long time, but I just want to read it. I said, hey, Jack, Merry Christmas to you as well. And I said, I heard Sylvia say the downside is the same as you would have in any other fund, as you would have in the triple Qs. In other words, if the market drops 25% in one day like it did in 1987, these funds would also drop 25% in one day. And then I said more like 24% because they'd earn a little bit of premium selling the put going into the day. But yes, it would be disastrous if they dropped 25% in one day. I don't think it would bankrupt him, but it would not be ideal. It would be suboptimal for sure. But so my point was, I said, if the market drops 25% in one day, it will also knock the QQQs and the SPYs and other investments down by the same amount. Anyone who has a mutual fund is subject to that type of black swan risk. But then I added, COVID didn't take down any of the covered call funds or short put funds. And remember, on COVID, we had a nice orderly drop of 40% or 42% or something in 3 weeks. So, and I was joking when I said nice and orderly. That was a shit show. If you guys remember, it dropped almost 10% in one day. I think the circuit breakers had to stop it twice. So I say, yes, those funds use monthlies instead of dailies, but the dailies even give you more downside protection than the monthlies, and they capture more premium. That's really the same thing. The more premium they're capturing is what gives you the downside protection. So but I said dailies have more tracking error on the upside, which is true. They're going to go slower on the upside, but the converse is true on the downside. Dailies have less tracking error on the downside. During February and March of 2020, the broader market was off 40%. The monthly short put and cover call funds were only down 30%. If Defiance funds had been around, they would have only been down 25%, in my opinion. The daily reset on the volatility insulates these funds from the downside to the greater degree. What I mean by that is, in my example, where if it drops 25% in one day out of nowhere, the day before, no one knows about it, so the put's not going to be worth very much money. Then it drops all that distance in one day. That would be like a worst case scenario. If it drops 25% in 10 days, I still think you'd be fine. That makes a big difference. That's kind of what people mean when they say path dependency. It matters where the option ends up relative to the strike. That's one thing, but it also matters how the option got there. Did it go there in one day? Or maybe the option maybe the market went up 10% first and then dropped 50% or something. It's a different path. They say options are path dependent. The option really isn't, but the payoff table is super path dependent. So I said the monthly short put and cover call funds really down 30%. If Defiance funds had been around, they would have only been down 25%, in my opinion, and that's because of the daily reset. And I already read that. I'm sorry, but COVID, where we dropped 40% in 3 weeks, then shot back up to all-time highs by the end of the year, was a pretty good stress test, in my opinion. And it didn't take these monthly cover call funds. The monthly funds did take forever to recover. I'm not sure if XYLD ever did recover. I mean, I don't think its price has ever recovered, but if you include dividends, it did recover. The true risk of dailies is on the upside, but I don't see Defiance going bust. Maybe if the market dropped 50% in one day and then another 50% the next day, so that'd be a total of 75%, yes, that would probably take them down. They would still have enough capital to write puts, but they would probably get a bunch of redemptions. And at that point, these funds have so much tracking error on the upside, even if you were a bull in the market, at that point, you'd probably, once the market stabilized and started going back up, you'd probably just want the triple Qs. So yeah, I could see something like that. And we've never, to my knowledge, we've never had a 50% drop in one day and a 50% drop the next day. It doesn't mean it can't happen, but, something like that, for sure, yeah, that'd be bad, very bad. But if the market drops 50% in one day and 50% in the next day, there's going to be bigger problems going on. We're probably in the middle of a zombie apocalypse or, no telling. So, it's just a matter of, yes, they could go belly up, but I think it would have to be such an extreme event, it would take all the other funds belly up too. I'm looking in the oven to see if my dinner's ready. All right, I'm going to set pause and get this out real quick. Hang on. I don't know if this does pause. I don't think this pauses. I'll have to cut that out in post-production. Maybe I'll just leave it in. Who knows? Okay, thank you for your patience. All right, let's see what else you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I look at, so here's the other thing. My theory on investing is is you have to look at all investments relative to whatever other investment you would be in. Yes, if you had your money in cash and then bought one of these funds, yes, compared to cash, yes, this would be bad. But I'm assuming people that buy these funds have other funds and they're just allocating. I always say no more than 10 or 20% in these yield funds, maybe 30 at the most. If you're retiring next year and you need, or maybe your daughter's going to get married, and I'll probably do that when my daughter gets engaged. I mean, and you want more income over the next year because you're going to have a lot of bills. Sure, maybe 30%. But even if you had 10 or 20% in these funds, and the market drops, 50% in a day, I mean, it's hard to even think about that. But as long as you aren't over allocated, I'm sure all the other stuff you have would be bad too. The problem is with these funds is they probably never recover if they drop 50% in one day because they have so much tracking error on the upside. And that's why I always use the 1 day comparison, because if it's just in 1 day, the options wouldn't have time to reset. If it happens in 5 days, they're going to be getting hellacious premiums on the way down there. All right. So anyway, I appreciate Jack for mentioning that to me. Oh, and he also mentioned, this is really nice. He said, don't forget to monetize your YouTube channel. And that was a really nice thing for him to remind me to do. So just while I got you on, I monetized it. I put a little, I put my PayPal address. So anyway, there's that. What else? But more than anything else, it was just nice of him to be looking out for me. And I don't need anyone to send me money, but if people want to, there should be a way for them to do it. I put some merchandise on there because I thought it'd be fun to kind of get excitement in the channel and stuff, but I didn't sell one coffee mug. So my merchandise did not go well. I was just going to run it over Christmas, so I'm probably going to take the merchandise down. And maybe by next Christmas, if my channel's a little bigger and I'll try to get some better graphics and stuff, I'll put them back up. But in the meantime, if I just leave the PayPal link up, that way if somebody does want to, contribute, they can do it. The thing is, if they buy a coffee mug, they probably don't even want a coffee mug, and I don't even get all the money. I get a portion of it. So it's a lot more efficient use of capital just to put a PayPal or a Venmo on there. And I should have done that from the beginning. I wish I would have talked to Jack about this a month ago, but it's fine. I did want to mention that though. More than anything else, I don't need financial support, but I do need emotional support, and I appreciate all the nice letters and nice comments I get, and people saying, I love the profit boxes, keep giving, keep it up, and you're doing a great job. I really appreciate a pat on the back every once in a while. That means everything to me. Okay, so we could do some profit boxes next. Let me make sure there's no other things I want to talk about. I think we pretty much covered it. Okay, because we're going to probably have to do, I don't know if I've done all the math on these, so this might take a second, but my dinner's cooling off. I'm probably not going to eat it all tonight. I went to my family's house, and my sister had already had dinner and already put everything up, and we just played games all night. But I'm still kind of hungry. Get this, we played a new game called Heads Up. Have you guys ever played that? Or I say it's a new game. It's a new game to me. But what you do is you take a cell phone. It's a phone game, and you put the phone on your forehead where the other people could see it, and it gives them a word, and then they say clues to try to get you to guess the word. It's like there's a ton of games like that. I forget the name. There used to be a game show like that in the 70s. If somebody knows, let me know what it is. I think it may have been Password, or that it's a similar concept, but it was so much fun. And the cool thing that the cell phone does, the cool thing about the app is, instead of just, it's just like holding a card to your head that has words on it. You can do that with just a card. The best thing about the cell phone is it videotapes the people giving you hints, and they're always acting crazy, and so that's more fun than anything else, is to go back and look at the video afterwards of the people, you know, doing funny stuff and dancing or whatever they're trying to do to make you guess whatever the word is. All right, so let's do these profit boxes. Then I'm going to let you guys get out of here. And let's see. So I've already done the math for the QQQYs. And all I need to do is draw in the profit box, I think. Let me just take a look at this. Yeah, okay, so, all right, so we need, okay, so let's refresh our memory. We sold 164 put options in the NDX at the 16,810 level. The strike price was 62.20, the average strike price. They had 2 transactions, but I've already averaged it out. So you subtract 62.20 from 16,810, which comes out to 16,747.80. So the top number, the strike, 16,810, is where you get your max profit if the market finishes there or above. The break even is where you start losing money if the market goes under that level. So now let's get out the old profit box. So I have 16,810. It's 16. So 810 and 747. Those are the 2 numbers. I need 810 and 747. All right. Oh, and I've already drawn this profit box. Okay, so we probably only have 2 profit boxes to go. This is a pretty reasonable looking profit box. It's not as thick as this one or this one. This was a great one because of that flush, that one-day flush made vol go back up again for a few days. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Let's go on to our good friend Jeppy, J-E-P-Y. So J-E-P-Y, I've done the math for this. Some of the math, it looks like. I forgot to mention how much that other fund was going for. We could go back and look at that in a second. I used to dread doing these just because it's boring and stuff, but now that I do it on the show and I get to talk about stuff that's going on, it's fun and I look forward to it. If you guys ever get bored of it or after we do it enough times, I'll probably quit doing it because I think you guys got the idea of profit boxes now and how they're constructed. But I just think it's great for visual learners. Okay, so let's go back real quick to QQQY. I should start saying QY. That's what all the cool guys are saying. Because it's kind of hard to say QQQY. Sometimes I say QQY, and I've heard other people on the internet say it too, just because they're going too fast. But if you say QY, that's how, like I say, that's how the cool guys say it. Mike over at the Tactical Stock Scalper says QY. Okay, so our max profit is just over $1 million. 38 basis points, which is about the same they went for the other day. Or I actually think they went for more, but they ended up making 37 basis points. The day before, look at that. That's what I mean about volatility resetting on a daily basis. I mean, it's, that's 61 basis points, and it had been running like 40s and 50s. So that was a good 20% bump in, premium. So it really helps whenever, these 1 or 2 day little flushes really help. You just don't want an extended, you don't want it too much going down 10 or 20%, obviously. But, going down 1 or 2% every once in a while, that's perfect. That's perfect to keep the volatility up. All right, so let's go back to JP. All right, so wait, are these both the same amount of contracts? Whenever I see that, I wonder if I've messed up something, but okay, I think it's all right. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Look at this, 164 contracts in the SPX isn't worth near as much as 124 contracts in the triple QYs. Because one thing, the triple QYs are more expensive, and the other thing is they're more volatile. So roughly the same type of contract, you could sell for $12 here, and what was it, 62 back here? So that just shows you the difference in volatility. But not only that, it's also because the triple QYs are a lot bigger of an underlying. The notional value on one NDX option is $1.5 million. The notional value on one SPX option is, what is it? It's $470,000. You know, that, which isn't small, but it's about a third the size of the triple QY's. Notional value is just the total value of the contract. Well, let's say if you sold this option and it went to zero, you know, $476,000 about. You know that much less whatever premium you brought in for it. You know, if you did this on the NDX, you know, 150,000, 160,000, nearly 170, because it's whatever the price is times 100, because option prices are in 100. So, yeah, the max loss on the NDX is a lot bigger than the SPX. That also means these little daily profits that you make are bigger because it's a bigger contract. All right, so let's do these profit boxes. We have 47.60 and we have 60 and 747. So let's go. Oh, I've already done this one too. I think when I couldn't sleep last night, I started doing these. I finally went to bed at like 4:30 or something. It's the last time I saw it. And then my ex called at 8:30 and she said, or 9:30 actually, and she said the kids were up and to come on over, and you know, we went over there and opened presents together and stuff. And by kids, I mean they're in their mid-20s. My daughter's 26 and my son is 22. Or my daughter's going to be 26. She's 25 right now. All right, so let's look at IWMY and see if I've done anything there, and then I'm going to let you guys go. Okay, looks like I've done the math. They sold 302 contracts at the 2040 level. They got $12.75. Let's see, I need to hide this column. All right, they got $12.75. So that means the max profit is 2040. The break even is 2027. So let's go draw those on the chart. Okay, so 2040, let's see, it's 2040. Let me make sure so I don't do this wrong. Where this profit box is not looking real impressive. Maybe the volatility is finally starting to come down on these Russell funds. As it's going up so much, the volatility looks like it's decreasing as it's going up. But look at what happened 3 days ago or 2 days ago. That was a pretty nice reset on the Russell too. It looks like there was pretty good premium that day. In fact, I know there was because it's on the spreadsheet. All right. So that's it for the profit boxes. So I also mentioned that I was going to talk a little bit about the estimated dividend. And for anyone that didn't see it, just real quick, I have 3 numbers, which is kind of a cop-out. I'm still trying to figure out how these work. So it's going to be anywhere between 91 cents and $1.69. So I don't, it's not a lot of help. Let's talk about profit, or let's talk about estimates tomorrow. I'm going to see how much this fund captures tomorrow, and I'm going to have one more chance tomorrow night to firm up my number because I don't believe it's till the next day that we get the announcement. So I'm going to see how much we make tomorrow. I'll be on after the market closes. I'll be on 3 times a day, of course, but after the market closes, I'm going to sharpen up my numbers, and we'll see we'll see how we're looking at that time. Hopefully tomorrow will be a big winning day, and I can add a little bit to my estimate. But I'll also take the time to check and make sure I caught everything. All right, guys. Well, remember, as always, I don't remember to say this often enough. This is not financial advice. Brokers have a bad name. I used to always say your broker's called a broker because he's broker than you are. That's not always true, but in a lot of, in some instances it is. And I was also kind of making fun of myself because I was a broker myself at that time. But seriously, a good broker, or even a bad broker, but especially a good broker, can really keep you out of trouble. I've had some good ones and I've had some bad ones, but nowadays you don't have brokers. So, but still, though, if anyone has any kind of question, go to the internet to do your research. But then, even if you have if you have a Charles Schwab account, they have brokers that you can talk to. I'm sure a lot of places do. Probably Robinhood and some of the newer ones don't, but that's what a Schwab account's good for. I mean, it's not going to be a broker you have a personal relationship or anything. It's just going to be like a call center broker, but it's still better than just relying on the internet, in my opinion. But the internet is a great place to get research and then to take the questions to a professional. And a lot of people, when you have more money, if you have like 500,000 or more, go ahead and get a full service account. Just that's what I would do, or have a couple of accounts so you're getting information different sources. When you get $1 million or more, or maybe even not with that much, go to a wealth manager and get a fee-based advisor. It's just my opinion. I mean, your money is your financial future. You just don't want to mess around with it. You never can be too careful, in my opinion. All right, guys, this has been fun for me. I hope it's been good for you. Jack says goodnight. He's over there. He's snoring right now. You guys can probably hear him. He's passed out. Have a nice evening. I'll be back in the morning. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I knew there was something I forgot to do. All right, let's look at stock index futures. We got the NASDAQ's up a 1/4 point. I mean, that's pretty good. It's going up. Come on, NASDAQ. So that's equivalent to the NDX. Here's the ES, which is equivalent to the SPX. Same story. See where we closed on Friday. Right there. So we closed around that level. So we're going up, not by a whole lot. But anyway, look at the old Russell. It's up a 1/3 of a point. Come on. So anyway, yeah, I'll be back in the morning, and we'll see we'll see how we open and how we're doing at that point. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.